Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are jumping into an idea that is so radical, it might just shatter your perception of, well, pretty much everything.
So that quote, it's from a cognitive scientist named Donald Hoffman. And his big claim? Well, it's staggering. He's saying the reality you're perceiving right now isn't actually real. Nope, it's just a user interface, kind of like a virtual reality headset you were born wearing and have never, ever taken off.
So let's just think about that for a second. What if he's actually right? What if this screen, the room you're in, even your own two hands are just simplified icons on a desktop? We're going to dig into the science here, because this isn't just some late-night philosophy. It's a serious theory, and it's grounded in mathematics, evolution, and physics.
Hoffman loves this analogy, and it's a great one. Think of a video game, like Grand Theft Auto. When you play, you see a steering wheel. You're driving a car. But what's actually inside the computer? It's not a car. It's just a whole lot of code and circuits. You interact with the icon of the car because trying to drive by messing with the raw code would be impossible. Hoffman's whole point is that our reality, it works exactly the same way.
So this means that what we call spacetime, this 3D world we see and touch, even time itself, is all just the display on our headset. It's the user interface, not the deep, fundamental reality. But that begs a pretty massive question, right? Why? Why would evolution bother hiding the truth from us?
And believe it or not, the answer comes from the theory of evolution. Now, common sense tells us that seeing the truth would give us a survival advantage. I mean, of course it would, right? Well, the math behind natural selection says the exact opposite.
See, evolution doesn't care about truth. It's not a truth engine. It has one single goal: keep you alive long enough to reproduce. That is it. And as it turns out, trying to see the full, complex truth is actually a disadvantage in the game of survival.
Think about it for a second. To see and process the entire, messy truth of reality would take a massive amount of time and energy. Our brains are already huge energy hogs, so evolution gave us shortcuts. It hides all that crazy complexity and just gives us simple little icons. Just enough information to make the right choice to stay alive.
A perfect and kind of hilarious example of this is the Australian jewel beetle. So, this male beetle is flying around, he's looking for a female, and his evolutionary rule book is super simple. Find something big, brown, and shiny. And then he sees it, the perfect mate. Except it's an empty beer bottle. He tries to mate with it anyway, totally ignoring the actual females nearby, so relentlessly that the species was almost driven to extinction. He wasn't seeing truth. He was just following a cheap, simple survival hack that went disastrously wrong.
So Hoffman and his team actually put this to the test. They ran these big evolutionary game theory simulations, pitting organisms that see the truth against organisms that just use shortcuts. And the result is the single most shocking number in this entire theory. The mathematical probability that we evolved to see objective reality as it really is, it's not low, it's not 1 in a million. It is precisely 0.
Okay, fine. Evolution gave us a headset. But the world it's showing us, space-time, the physical universe, that stuff has to be real, right? Well, now our own physics is telling us that the stage itself is part of the illusion, that space-time is doomed.
Our two greatest theories in physics are Einstein's relativity for all the big cosmic stuff and quantum theory for all the tiny atomic stuff. Both of them are incredibly accurate. The problem is, when you try to make them work together, they just break. It's like trying to use Google Maps to find your way around inside a single atom. The rules don't apply. And the main thing they can't agree on is space-time. Physicists now think that if you could just zoom in on reality, smaller and smaller, way past atoms, you'd eventually hit a pixel of our reality. It's a scale called the Planck length. At that point, as you can see, the very idea of space and location just stops making any sense. The physics code breaks. This suggests space isn't the fundamental box that holds everything, it's more like a really high-resolution display that pixelates if you look too close.
So let's take stock. If our senses are a fiction, and the physical world of space-time is also a fiction, what's even left? What's the one thing we can't deny? The experience itself, the act of perceiving. And this is where the theory takes its most profound turn. If the headset isn't real, the only thing left is the consciousness that's wearing it. The thing that's truly real is you, the creator.
In this theory, Consciousness isn't something that just arises from the brain. It's the other way around. Consciousness is the fundamental reality that creates the brain and the table and the world moment by moment. You aren't just a player inside the game. You're the one inventing the whole thing.
And the idea goes even deeper. It suggests that ultimately there is only one infinite consciousness, experiencing reality through countless different headsets. You are one perspective. Your neighbor is another. Even a mosquito is just a unique point of view for that one consciousness to explore itself. We're all just different avatars for the same cosmic player.
And this is where ancient spiritual wisdom suddenly gets a scientific framework. That command to love your neighbor as yourself stops being just a moral suggestion. It becomes a statement of objective fact. Your neighbor is yourself, just experiencing the game from a different point of view.
Okay, this is all fascinating, really mind-bending stuff, but what's the point? If we start to believe this, how does it actually change the way we live our lives?
Well, it could change everything about our inner world. The ego's endless need to prove itself starts to fade. I mean, why compete in a game you invented? The fear of death gets a lot less scary when you see your body as just an avatar, not your true self. According to Hoffman, so much of our daily suffering, our anxieties, our fears, it all comes from one simple mistake: believing the illusion is real.
And this question gets right to the heart of it. That constant pressure we feel to achieve, to succeed, to become someone, it's all based on the idea that we are somehow incomplete. But if you are already the infinite source of everything, what's left to achieve? What is there to prove? Realizing this, even just for a moment, can offer a profound sense of peace.
And finally, the implications for the future are staggering. Because if space-time is just a user interface, then once we understand the code behind it, we can start to rewrite it. We could become the programmers of our own reality.
Imagine editing the code of a video game. You wouldn't need to drive a car, you could just rewrite your location in the code. Hoffman believes we're on the verge of a science of consciousness that could let us do the same with our reality, creating technologies that would seem like magic. This isn't just philosophy. It's a scientific theory that starts with one question and leaves us with another, even bigger one. If you are the one creating this reality, what will you choose to create next?